everyone, because the players will just feel that they can be changed anytime, and that brings a really bad atmosphere. I don't think Crepo will have such an immediate impact. I think he might be better in the long run, but right now I think Elements will perform the same. They just need to fix their mindset a bit.
Welcome back to the European LCS, where the veterans of Elements are looking to catch the league newcomers Unicorns of Love in the standings after beating them back in week 1. Let's start by taking a look at the lineup for Elements, what it looks like this week at least. We have Wicked, Shook, Froggen, Reckless, Crepo, and Nif. Yesterday, they lost a game even though they had a ton of objectives, 5 Dragons, they had the Barons, they had the Inhibitors down, and Shook, was not living that down still. We saw Froggen on Orianna. Shook also expressed the fact that it might not always work. And for me, it's a question for Froggen a little bit. When do you stop expecting someone to achieve or go for a standard that they've set a long time ago? And when do you start holding them accountable for the standard they're setting now every week?
I mean, as an opponent, you have to take basically see it like this. You can't be nostalgic. You can't think about the past performances they have put up, especially after 4 or 5 bad games or subpar games that are not in the standard anymore. You have to be in the here now. So when I would play versus Elements, I would not prepare for Froggen. Let's put it this way. So he was the one that made the team, that started the team, that basically got the pieces in, and he may still be a driving force behind the team's decision. I can't tell, but what I see is that his decision making basically is always going to be passive. He's not going to be the aggressor, which basically puts him in a position where he is not the guy that will carry the game and will rather let the supporting cast carry the game for him, which I think is the wrong approach for someone that is the figurehead, is the face of his franchise. Now I have to call him out for that.
All right, and you did actually pose the same question to Dentist, who actually replied, because it is Froggen and the mechanical skill he's showed in the past, Dentist said, I still get shivers when I walk past him in the hallway, but it could just all be legacy.
Yeah, I think it's definitely legacy. Especially people who haven't played against him too much. This season, it's only two games. For Dentist, for example, as a coach. So he obviously doesn't have the experience yet. But we scrimmed, we as TSM and we as ICW, we scrimmed Alliance back then too. So I've had a fair share of experience versus him. I don't get shivers when I walk past him. Mm-hmm. I respect him as a player. I respect his body of work. But right now, his team's calling for him. He's not answering the call. All
right, and what should be the main thing that they change? The thing that we've always said is they have to be more aggressive. They have to pick more laners in general. And actually, yesterday, Reckless on Corki was the most aggressive I've seen him in a long, long time. So it gives me the impression that he definitely wants to go forward.
Yeah, it feels like that Reckless is actually adapting to what he has to do. I criticized yesterday already where I said CW is more of an evolved Elements, where they know what the carries have to do, where they know what the supporting cast has to do. And I think Reckless actually made some adaptations. We saw it the week before when he made a couple of YOLO plays together with Crepo. Some didn't work out, some worked out versus MYM, and I thought that was the right approach. And I think this week again, we see the same pattern. And if they keep evolving, then maybe Reckless is able to get Froggen to the same standard and basically pull Froggen with him, but that has yet to happen. But as I said, Reckless is really doing a good job right now.
One final thing I want to touch on is, of course, as they had the roster change coming in this week again, Wicked in the top lane for Kevin. They're both just rocks in the top lane. There isn't that noticeable spike of a difference, but I think it'll do them well regardless. It's just the rest of the team.
Yeah, there's some kind of difference between Kevin and Wicked. I just think that Wicked is someone who has more competitive experience on a higher level. Kevin has played forever too, but Wicked has been on the higher level for longer. And that's why I think that Wicked being in the team, and especially him knowing the team members better than Kevin, is going to help him more than getting a new guy in again. And I think that was the right approach. But we'll have to see about that. It's again, as you said, it's about the team also adapting to him and basically making the right calls and making the right decisions, and basically having the right mindset towards the games. I think Crepo saying that it's a do or die situation right now is the way to go, because right now the back's against the wall. They have nowhere to go anymore but higher or staying at the bottom, and they really have to step up to the occasion.
Yeah, but looking to beat them today to even out the head-to-head are the Unicorns of Love, Vizichachi, Kikis, Power of Evil, Fardax, Hitlasang, and Sheepy. Talking to Kikis a little bit at the top of the show here about yesterday's game, which honestly was a stomp by Roccat towards them. And the question is, there was a lot of questions that we've been asking about the Unicorns of Love beforehand. They have a lot of hype. They have these special champions. What will happen when they're losing? What is your verdict?
People have adapted to them. Like from the beginning, I didn't think they were having such a high ceiling. They were somewhat overhyped, but they weren't bad at all. They weren't bad. I still don't think they're bad. But what they have to do is actually to find other ways to win the game. Like we saw SK, for example, being a team that we said they can only 1-3-1, they can only do that, and suddenly they're able to win through 5 days, even though they completely lose out on their 1-3-1, they can't adapt to that, and then suddenly they just change their playstyle. And that's something UOL has to do. They have to find multiple ways to win the game, not just rely on early snowballing to carry them through the mid game, where their shot calling is basically like falling down if they're not ahead.
Yeah, we'll see how they do in this one. With everything ready on stage, let's kick it over to Quick Shot in the Fee Show for picks and bans.
Thank you very much, Shocks and Amazing. Some harsh words, strong
yeah.
words, and fair. I think it is
100%,
fair.
100%.
You look at Elements, they're 5 and 8 on the split. Unicorns of Love 6 and 7. This game, if Elements were to win, would actually give them the time points,
Yeah.
but the head-to-head advantage, which would mean they'd be 1 position higher. So for Elements and for Unicorns, there are 5 games left to look at a playoff spot. One of these teams may not make it into the top 6.
I think it's safe to say one of the teams will not make it. I see Copenhagen Wolves and Gambit getting into the playoffs, and it's going to be between Rocket Elements and Unicorns of Love. And I looked at Elements in the next 4 games they have, so in the last 2 weeks. They're facing H2K, who's currently on a 7 winning streak, getting close to the top 2 spots in the league. Gambit, of course, has been looking fantastic. They have Fnatic, and the last one is then Giants. That's the only one where you can say they are favorites, so they have to win here against Unicorns of Love.
Wow, Elements and Unicorns, both teams that have lost games that you said they should have won in the past. We'll see how things play out. For today, we're in picks and bans. The 2 struggling teams, Elements banned Nidalee, Siva, Cassiopeia. Rek'Sai still available if Unicorns want to take that off the table. They've removed Callista from Reckless, Lissandra from Froggen, and they've got +1 to take off the table. Not what I was expecting as bans.
No, Lissandra's been a bit of a weird case this week. I still consider it to be one of the best top lane picks, so I like the ban in that case. But we didn't see it yesterday, and it's been open so many times already this week where teams don't pick it. They seem to favor like Maokai and Gnar in this case here, but won't see too many top laners for Wicked. Instead, however, Unicorns are falling into a trap we've seen a few times already, where one team, especially the one on blue side, will ban Nidalee or Rek'Sai, and whichever of the 2 junglers is open, they will just first pick it, and there's no real counter now anymore from the sides of Unicorns. They might just go Lee Sin, has been the go-to pick for Kikis many times, also into a Rek'Sai, so I would expect Lee Sin to come later. But I don't agree on giving over this Rek'Sai for free to Elements.
Well, we'll see if Shook can make it work. Kikis in the past has done great things with Rek'Sai, not going to be able to today for obvious reasons. Chachi, even though Gnar was available, opts to go for the Maokai. And Power of Evil is going to get his hands on Ahri, but LeBlanc is available if Froggen wants to go the Assassin route. He did play Orianna yesterday. Sorry. And we'll see what he decides to run.
I mean, Shook did say he likes Orianna as a champion as long as she gets to mid to late game. But the problem is, again, when Froggen plays it, he doesn't do anything for such a long time. And then if Elements as a team fall behind, they suddenly rely on like a perfect shockwave to win a team fight. Otherwise, it's gonna basically be lost. And that's what happened against the Copenhagen Wolves. When Froggen could pull off a 4-man shockwave, they won the fight, and we were like, oh, they're back. And then the very last team fight of the game, he didn't even use shockwave, and they lost, and suddenly he had no impact on it. So a bit of a tricky one for him. LeBlanc could be the case. Ahri, LeBlanc, very, very skill-dependent matchup. Does he feel confident enough at the moment after losing so many games to go against Power of Evil? I think he could.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to see if he feels that way.
Yeah, I've never thought of Froggen as being a non-confident player.
That's true.
Passive,
but we have
yes.
never seen Froggen lose this much.
True, very true as well. Very true as well. So we'll see what they decide to do. Let's run through the picks. It is Corki for Reckless. He's currently 0-2 on that champion. It's the same duo that Elements ran yesterday.
Okay.
The Morgana support. And Unicorns, they've gone for Graves Annie. So leaving their jungler to last pick. They've got a good combination of champions. Elements deciding what they're going to round out their team comp with.
For Unicorns here, they're basically secured standard lane power. in terms of the Annie and Graves together. Ari in the mid lane. Obviously, Maokai is not going to win his lane, but he's more than fine in terms of just purely one-on-oneing. But this means Elements is forced to lane swap. When you pick Corki and Morgana, that's not a very strong 2-on-2 lane, so they're going to have to swap. If Unicorns can mirror that one, suddenly we see the Elements problem again, where the early game, they're suddenly in a disadvantage from the start, like they were against SK Gaming, like they were against Copenhagen Wolves, and that is not a thing that suits them because they don't know how to make the plays to get out of that bad spot. And okay, we mentioned there's confidence, the skill matchups. Zed Ari is definitely also one of those. And it's not a champion we see Froggen play a lot, but it's a champion where he has to make plays. That could be the way forward for him. If he's forced to do it, go for it, man.
Let's see what Elements do. Wicked's going to his Lulu top.
No.
Has been a fallback champion. Deficio is just seeing the last lock-in for the Unicorns of Love. Kikis on patch 5.4 with Rek'Sai taken away and Nidalee banned. Did not go Lee Sin, did not go Jarvan, did not go Rengar. He went Sion.
So, yesterday I called Evelyn a certain word. I would like to use the same, but I'm not going to use that for Sion jungle. I'm just going to say I think it's a very risky pick. And I don't really see why you play jungle Sion, because your jungle clear is not that great. You don't get enough farm to be super tanky, which is what you want to do on Sion. And your ganks are fairly weak, at least before you hit level 6. And even when you hit level 6, it's pretty hard to pull off. It's very hard to pull off that ulti. I want to see what Kikis is doing, but I've never been a fan of jungle Sion, and jungle Evelyn can join that group, by the way. Let's see what he can do.
I will give Unicorns of Love a minute benefit of the doubt, because they do have some hard CC in top and bottom. Annie and Maokai, if they time their engages, you could hear the pitter-patter.
Or you just
of
pick Lee Sin and you go in and you kill the people anyway, and you are way better early on. Anyway, let's see.
Not a believer in Deficio. You guys at home, vote with your opinions on Twitter. Hashtag Elwin, hashtag Ulwin, whichever you feel has the advantage.
Or hashtag
everybody
Sion.
in the audience, everybody watching at home, when Sion charges down whatever lane with that unstoppable onslaught, I want to hear your footsteps. We're loading onto the rift for Elements versus Unicorns of Love. Game 2 here on Friday. A little bit of respect from Froggen, throwing down the SKT T1K skins. Let's see what Froggen can do on Zed. Mechanically, you know he can play the champion.
For sure.
Decision making, will he be aggressive enough?
It's just never been a champion Froggen has really showed too much on before. And back when I played and I scrimmed against Alliance, or EG as they were called, he used to play it in scrims all the time and he was fantastic. He was great. He was making big plays. He was roaming around the map, but he never really got to pick it in the LCS itself. Now we get to see him on it, and it's been a player that a lot of people have looked at and said, he is a star. He's a guy with so much history. He's been the best mid laner in Europe for so many years, or at least up there with the likes of Alex Ish and Peke, and you can always argue who's the best. Now, as Amazing said, the team is calling for him. Will he answer on Zed? Can he do something in this lane? And can he, together with a Rek'Sai, which is a fantastic 2-on-2 skirmish, the same cannot be said for a Sion jungle, can those two together make some plays? Because they will be stronger.
The tools are there. The tools are there indeed. Elements also returning to that Lulu top lane for Wicked. It's something that there are mixed feelings on. Wicked, of course, does fall back. He doesn't have the greatest wealth of AP champions to draw from, but we'll be able to have a Mega Rek'Sai, Mega Zed, Mega Corki if required.
Yeah, for Elements, it's a comp that, looking at late game, they're going to lack damage. Because once you get the QSS coming in, we get an Hourglass on Ari, suddenly Zed won't really find a squishy target. Corki, we know, falls off in terms of late game damage on his own, and the same goes for Lulu. Lulu is there to support other damage dealers while still being okay on her own. So Elements comp here, going full late game, might hit a point where Sion potentially can get tanky enough, and the Maokai we know is going to get extremely tanky. Those two together is going to be nearly impossible to kill for Elements if we get to that late game point. Wow. So they are forced to make some plays. They kind of mind-gamed Unicorns here, because they went bottom lane, they did the crooks, so they would also have that level 2 advantage in case they were the standard lanes. But you saw Unicorns, they were trying to predict, okay, they're swapping top lane, let's go there, and we counter them because we have this Annie Graves lane. In the end, they end up getting nothing for it, or then a lane swap.
So let's keep track of how long Wicked holds Shook's hand. Their buddy system tagged in the jungle, whereas Vizicachi has already made his way to this bottom lane tower. Gonna dodge that little dark bunning, but I think that was more luck than intentional.
So what happened for Elements and what they're doing here is really smart. Basically, because they did Crooks in case there was a 2v2 lane, they wanted that XP advantage, they couldn't freeze the lane. They went there to group up the minions. So what they did instead was they fast pushed a wave to make it bounce on the tower, and then suddenly at least have a chance of it starting pushing back towards them or denying some farm from Vizicachi. So they didn't build up like a massive wave, like 3 or 4 waves, and then slowly push it into the Maokai and say, here you go, take all the farm in the world. No, they pushed it in fast, reset it at least a little bit, and now they can zone him away and challenge him for that CS. That was at least a good call by them. Meanwhile, Wicked were just farming the jungle, and now, once the support is gone from top lane, it's a one-on-one. He swaps up there on his own.
Yeah, of course, Wicked did manage to catch Vardags and Hylissang holding up that lane for a little bit. It will slowly continue pushing towards Vardags. We'll see what Wicked can do on that first back. Did pick himself up a ward.
Yeah, he's fine.
And we'll see what sort of impact Kikis can have with his jungle Scion, because that's the big question for me this game. Well, 2 questions. What does Kikis do, and how does Froggen play Zen?
Wicked should have gone and placed his ward already, because there's such a high chance of him being caught in the middle of the lane. He knows that Unicorns will have more power on the top side. That's where the AD carry sits, and he's stuck in the middle because he's trying to push the wave into the Tower of Unicorns to reset it. He should have placed that ward already.
Don't pull it, Kevin. Don't pull it, Kevin. Wicked's in trouble. Here's the stun from Hylissang. It connects. He's knocked in the air. Vardags has come in and got the first blood. Deficio, you said place the ward. Wicked was late to the party and gets punished for it.
And I really don't understand why, because he had so much time from him getting to the top lane. Vardags is not able to just like completely zone him back to his own tower. He could have walked down to that river with the ward he even bought from the first back and just placed it. Big mistake. Kevin has done the same. Clearly right now, it is not looking good for the Elements top laners.
And I will say, stun from Annie. Let Kikis get his stun down. Small win for the team combo.
And what had happened had it been at least 10? Stun from Annie, dead anyway.
Just saying, Deficio bro.
Hey, so far it's better than expected.
Just saying. But again, it's mostly because, of course, Wicked didn't place the ward in the river. He's returned to lane, opted not to place the ward yet. We'll keep tabs on how quickly he decides to place the vision down.
He's playing it greedy. Again, he wants to push the wave into the tower to reset it. But whenever Vardags does this, Wicked needs to obviously just say to himself, okay, someone is coming, because the AD carry is trading. I need to back away. And yeah, someone is coming. Now he plays that ward. But he has no flash from the gank before, so he can still be ganked. He's trying to reset the wave. It is nearly impossible for him now because Unicorns keep ganking him. Hylissang can flash the wall here and just go for him.
He has flashed the wall. That's a level 2 Annie. Unicorns of Love. They want more blood. Kikis gets in place, does not manage to get the stun, but there's so much damage from Unicorns. 2-0. Camp Wicked, hashtag tilt him. Unicorns off to a great start.
Well, wards can save your life.
Not when somebody flashes over Tribush at level 2.
No, the point was basically place the dam earlier, and that was it.
Well, let's see what happens in this middle lane. Power of Evil forced the Spirit Rush away. We did see Chachi showing his face in lane. Got teleport available. Unicorns of Love, they're off to a good start. Jungle and carry with kills on the board.
Very good start on the top side of the map. Meanwhile, because Elements played it smart in their own lane swap between Regis and Krepu and pushed the wave in and got it to reset and like bounce back a little bit, they have managed to keep Vizicachi down in terms of farm. He's only sitting on 15. He's now back in this lane here. So despite Wicked dying, he's not that far behind in his own matchup.
Hylissang's in trouble.
So that was just well played by the bottom lane from Elements. And now a kill as well. Good roam, good setup by Shook.
Well, it's done before we can say who knocked him up. But Shook plus Krepo, easy kill onto the low-level Hylissang.
Yeah, I really like that play. We know how Unicorns have focused all the wards on the top side because that's basically where they were stronger. Elements were strong on the bottom side, and they've done exactly the same. So once Hylissang walked into the jungle, no flash because he flashed the wall beforehand, that was just an easy kill for Elements. Good little setup by them. And it's not over yet despite this Lulu dying twice early.
Yeah, CS difference is actually still in favor of Wicked. However, there's a wave and a half working towards Vizicachi. Another one following up behind. Vizicachi's got a small level advantage. Neither jungler going for the Trailblazer, so we're going to see that Stalkers and Chilling Smite coming down. Challenging Smite, rather.
But I want to see Cutlass here now for Froggen. I want to see Cutlass, so he won't be able to kill Power of Evil on his own because Power of Evil is running Exhaust and has Arm Guard as the first item. That means basically the Cutlass is going to be used to join up with the Rek'Sai, with Crepo if he's roaming on Morgana, and then you have a lot more all-in potential because of the on-hit effect, or well, the on-hit damage from the Cutlass from him now. So it means for Froggen, try and push out this wave, and then try and make some plays elsewhere. You have the damage to do it already, especially if you're teamed up with one other guy. Because this Exhaust Ahri with an Arm Guard is not going to die on her own.
Well, Reckless did take a lot of burst damage. Hylissang throwing out the stun. Reckless forced a Valkyrie over the wall. Keep in mind, Hylissang now very low level himself.
Yeah, only level 4.
Good dot binding accuracy from Crepo. He was responsible for the first kill Elements put on the board and the poke of putting Hylissang down.
And look at the 2 ping wards here from Elements around the Dragon. That's a very good setup for the likes of a Rek'Sai to walk in towards these pings here, knowing there's no wards from Unicorns to spot him as long as he hogs the wall near the Dragon, and get close enough that even if there is a ward from Unicorns just in the river, that won't save them with the Annie with no flash and the tunnel you can use from Rek'Sai to get in behind them. So that could be a good setup if Elements want the free kill in this bottom lane, because they're already controlling the river with the pings.
See if we can equate to more control. Elements, despite being down in kills, are even on gold. We're about to hit the 10-minute mark. Even CS in top. Small advantage for Froggen over Power of Evil, but small advantage for Vardags over Reckless. You could argue the lane matchups are the reason as to why those numbers are in favor of who currently has the lead. But we're going to be settling in for a fairly extended laning phase. Elements, of course, looking for their Trinity Force, maybe Blade of the Rune King, spikes on their carries. I really don't know what Unicorns are going to do with this jungle Scion as the game progresses.
They're going to try and just farm him up to a mega tank. Because as we said before, and here, Elements have no ways of dealing with the tanks in the late game. Corgi is not a tank killer. Lulu especially not a tank killer. She's more about, again, supporting the rest of the team, add more utility, and then her own damage on top of that, which is not going to be enough to take down the likes of a Maokai. So Unicorns, for them, if they can manage to just sit back and farm and drag it out, that's fine. Perfectly fine. Where it is Elements who needs to make some plays on the map. We see Shook again. I would love to see him just go bottom lane here. You have these 2 pink wards. You can get so close to the lane that this Annie might not be able to reach the tower in time, especially not if Crepo sets up a binding. But he wants Power of Evil. At least want to blow the ulti from Power of Evil, and then Elements can start dragging after, because then suddenly the Ahri is fairly weak. Gonna have to see if it works for them. They're going here. There's the ulti, and then back away instantly.
Yeah, but the problem is Shook gets caught with a charm. Froggen goes in with a Deathmark. Exhaust is down. Damage isn't going to pop. Froggen wants blood. He gets the kill, and he gets out. Froggen, Elements has called. He's on the board and answered.
Such a nice setup. You saw how Shook went in, and as soon as the ulti were popped from Power of Evil, he just backed away. That was all he wanted, just blow the ulti from the Ahri. But because Power of Evil, he kept in and went for a trade. Instead, Froggen saw the opening, jumped in, threw exhaust and everything. He got that kill with the Cutlass. Great start now from him, winning the lane in terms of farm. Early brutalizers together with the Cutlass. It's going to be a fairly early Blade of the Rune King. He's looking for blood.
Good start.
Or Pulse. He's Danish.
Not sure if they can find that in Berlin, Deficio.
There's a lot of Pulse in Berlin, trust me.
We'll find out. Crepo with another great binding, throwing out every skill shot Elements have. Vardags loses a bunch of HP, but they're still down in CS. Again, this BF sword plus pickaxe. Vardags is always going to have more power at this exact moment in time, as we see Wicked actually teleport top. So TP advantage to the Unicorns of Love.
Every time they trade in the bottom lane, it's only when Crepo hits the binding. Because then you have the long-range rocket coming in from Reckless, and he just hits the Graves, who won't be able to hit him back, and then he just backs away. You don't want to take any like pure one-on-one trades or like auto-tech trades when Graves has a BF sword and a pickaxe. So it is simply long-range trading. This Dragon has been started. Crepo's recall, so Unicorns here are timing the backs from the bottom lane of Elements. That's very, very well played. Seeing the recall from Crepo, saying, okay, 4 vs 3, we started.
But this tanky Scion's not dealing a lot of damage. Unicorns of Love with a slow Dragon. They should be able to secure this one. Look for the smite. Very close rocket from Reckless. First Dragon on the board for the young upstarts of the Unicorns of Love. But that took a whole lot longer as we see Wicked and Vizichachi going toe-to-toe. Wild Growth secured, or gained rather. That Vengeful Maelstrom will be available much sooner than the Wild Growth will. And Wicked just playing spoiler for a moment or two.
I like the play from Unicorns. They had the stronger 2-on-2 lane. Crepo Went back to base. Didn't see if he was low on HP or mana or anything, but he went back anyway, and then they instantly just go for that dragon. So nice little setup to secure the 6% AP and AD, which of course is not that much early on, but it still scales up. And you don't want to get into that game where Elements with a fairly strong mid-game spike can start ranking up these dragons, and that suddenly becomes a way of them winning by getting 5, even though you are looking for late game on the side of Unicorns. So just really important for them.
Yeah, and it's also the control that it lends the team that secures the dragon. You notice how SK gain control of the pit and they force their opponents to play around their own decision-making. Unicorns of Love on the board. They'll have the timer. If they can maintain vision, they actually make a play in the future. Crepo Black shields up the charm. Takes a lot of damage from that Orbit decision, but look at Shook. Deep vision.
Yeah.
Not a lot of faith in either team here. 51% for EL.
This is what we mentioned earlier with the Z Rek'Sai together. That's a lot stronger in a 2-on-2 skirmish. That means you are now able to fight around vision and in the enemy jungle because you know you're going to be stronger if the fight breaks out. And also with the early kills from Froggen, the farm advantage, he's basically been able to push up this lane. Power Fever is unable to move on his own, and now Shook, he's looking for more. He got the deep wards. He wants to take the 2-on-2 fight.
And not this time.
Not this time though. Unicorns, they back away, but they don't gain anything, and they still have lost control of their own jungle.
Just keep in mind though, we're 14 minutes into the game, and Kikis has already got nearly 2,000 hit points. And there's Ninja Tabby completed. We did see Vizichachi once again getting the wild growth out of Wicked, so applying pressure, but it's not resulting in CS advantage. And it's Reckless plus Crepo that secure the first tower of the game. Unicorns first Drake, Elements first tower, gold advantage to Elements.
See what this top lane tower is on, because it was a lane swap, of course. No, Wicked is trading again, but
look at the support.
Yeah, Chachi is not on his own.
Chachi's getting chased down. That's a flash. Little
so
does not connect.
Wicked is so
Here
dead.
comes the chase. Wicked gets knocked up. The decimating smash goes down, and Wicked gives up a third. But
that was
can
3
Bardax
guys.
get
Yeah,
caught?
Bardax on his own now.
Insta flash. Dark Binding gets
Binding.
dodged away, and Bardax is away. Elements, they're grouping. They may want the tower.
Elements need to be careful here that they don't lose the mid lane, because they're sending 4 guys and there was no wave at the tower. So now Froggen is going back to defend this one. Big advantage for Unicorns. They got the kill top lane. They're going to get at least a lot of damage on the tower as well, both in mid and top. Elements tried to make a play on the bottom side, realized there was no minion wave at the tower. Was just pushed back by Vardak, so very well played by them. And
Not over yet.
I mean,
no teleport, no flash. Oh,
Yeah.
this is just terrible. Oh, Tibbers comes down, incinerate, decimate, disintegrate, and a spirit rush for good measure. Power of evil. Easy kill. What will it cost them? Wave bottom has been pushed by Reckless as he backs, and Froggen will secure the middle outer turret.
and let's just remember, Wicked is not worth a lot of gold anymore. So keeping him down doesn't really gain too much from the Unicorns, except they will get a tower for this now, so that's fine. But you gave up a mid tower, but Power of Evil roaming, and Lulu as a champion. We mentioned this yesterday, especially when she's a top laner. You have 2 other damage dealers, 3 even with the Rek'Sai. She doesn't necessarily need a lot of gold to be effective. Her kit herself offers so much utility, shielding, slowing, kiting, whatever it is, that if a 0-10 Lulu can still have a massive impact in a team fight. Not in terms of damage, but the utility shipping. So Unicorns are putting so much focus on Wicked that they've now given up advantage in the mid lane and also lost the bot lane tower beforehand.
See which strategy works out. Because at the moment, the minigame of give everyone a kill on Wicked is only missing Hylissang to get on the board.
He got 4 assists,
It's
almost
a
the same.
stun onto Shook. Shook's going to just burrow himself away. I'm not counting assist official. I can hear the support in you saying still counts.
I mean, that's how you stay happy as a supporter. Say 4 assists equals 1 kill, yeah, that's fine. I'm also important. That's just what you keep telling yourself.
Well, it is true. If it wasn't for Hylissang's stuns, it wouldn't work out. Numbers advantage means that Unicorns will get an uncontested tower. Wicked pushed up top, but he's peeled away. And considering an engage, Unicorns are still grouped up with a minute till the next dragon.
And that was an advantage Unicorns gained, because Wicked kept using his teleport to try and get back in lane and stay relevant in the game. So he didn't have it up this time, and once he was in the top lane pushing, Unicorns very quick to win 5 together. Got this mid tower, which they got so much damage on beforehand because Elements were moving forward to the bottom lane. Had a bit of a misplay there, and Unicorns managed to punish him. All 5 though, sitting around the mid lane. Wicked cannot show himself top lane, then he will give up this dragon. And now, once you have the Ahri, if you have the pink ward control around an objective, people have to face stick you with a charm. Black Shield won't get there in time unless Crepo is really, really fast. And suddenly, Elements are forced to back away from it and try and trade something else.
Yeah, I'm much more afraid of the flash Tibbers from Hylissang.
That too.
You notice how aggressive he has been playing a moment or two ago. Just him walking into lane was enough to scare Elements away. So position on Dragon, secured for Unicorns. It looks like Elements will concede that objective in exchange for top tower. There's also a minion wave pushing bottom, so somebody from the Unicorn squad has to go deal with that.
They get top tower, and Crepo put in 4 wards in the jungle of Unicorns, so they simply said, we have lost control of this dragon, we're not gonna face shake your tapers, your charm, whatever it is. Give it up, we try and get anything else, or we get something else in exchange. So, not a bad trade in terms of the gold and the information they have now gathered. But the Unicorns are slowly now building up towards these 5 dragons, and if we do get to that late game point where they're gonna be stronger anyway, nothing is gonna stop them from getting 5.
Oh, pings on Power of Evil. I think Elements want this one. Shook is going to get the knock-up. Wild Growth to follow. Deathmark to finish. Now Hylissang's in trouble. What will Elements do? Crowd goes a little wild. As look, Froggen rather, is going to be playing Interruption.
And right here, Unicorns walk right into the trap of Elements. Elements traded vision control in the jungle and the top lane tower for the dragon itself. Unicorn should have expected that and not walk straight through the jungle that just been completely warded up with 5 guys from Elements on that side of the map. That was, again, a bit of a misplay. Power of Evil, he's the target, died twice now. Yesterday, he didn't look good either when he played Ahri. He was locked down multiple times. And here, Elements managed to get quite some gold out of this in terms of a tower and a kill. 2 for Froggen.
Still maintaining lead of the game, despite being down 2 dragons. Question is, at what point do Elements decide to take a team fight? At what point do they try to prevent a dragon? You could theorize if they keep playing the map well, they don't need to, because Elements could eventually gain control of that area. But that's still a fairly long way away. Trinity Force has been picked up for Reckless, Blade of the Ruined King for Froggen, making his way towards some more armor.
Baiting it. Baiting Power of Evil, he has Hourglass ready, and then the Annie is going to follow behind. But Froggen, he's baiting himself, sitting in a bush. Let's see. Who's the smartest here? A little Kit and Power of Evil? Or Froggen the Almighty?
Froggen the Almighty. Wow. A lot of praise to Fishio.
Well,
yeah, that Void Rush. And
kind of used that one in the last game. It was just stuck in my head. And also I just watched Bruce the Almighty.
Oh, right. Froggen, 2-level advantage over his opposite number. 30 CS lead and a kill to the good. We see Shook playing aggressive. All the wards that were placed down a few minutes ago slowly starting to time out. But more importantly, Elements with the numbers advantage. Froggen is playing defensive duty against 2, but it's a 4v3 in the top half.
I don't think Hylissang showed himself yet in this lane. He's still waiting for Froggen to go aggressive, but there is an Hourglass on Power of Evil, so it will be so tough. He's going in though.
Well, let's see what can happen. Froggen's got Deathmark down. Power of Evil still alive. He's going to Hourglass away as Froggen does throw down the Blade of the Ruined King to survive the engage from Hylissang.
Whoa,
but here
Wicked!
comes Wicked! Wicked from behind! Finally on the board. He's going to run down Hylissang. We do see Tibbers trying to get those auto attacks away. Forced to Wild Growth as the fans throw down the Kappa faces. Elements do get themselves a kill. Hylissang waited, but it simply wasn't enough. Now Wicked, he's sticking around. He's getting dove. Hylissang tanks up the tower shots. Wicked unable to get another kill. Should go down to Chachi, but Chachi's tanking up the tower, and he will give up his 5th kill of the game. What can Elements secure in the top lane?
Nothing, because Unicorns are already there defending it with 2 guys. It looked so good in the start. Froggen went in, teleport from Wicked came down. They got the first kill. Froggen backed away, Wicked was left on his own, and then he just stayed. Ends up dying for it, tower goes down. Fights in the top lane though.
Well, Shook managed to get that red buff. Crepo's jumping in on top of Vardax. Black Shield is away. Orba Deception goes out. Reckless pulling a Woolite. Might get caught out of position. Kikis finds himself running into a tree. That's not the Lumberjack skin, but he is going to jump forward, slow down, decides to bail on the Decimating Smash. Incinerate comes out, the Disintegrate follows, and nothing else chases. Elements should be able to get away clean. Keep in mind, with Wicked securing that kill, he is now worth money again. So
not the full effect because he died after.
Touche. But still a little more valuable than a minion.
Yeah, I agree. And all he's doing is he's giving killing streaks to Unicorns, and then he takes it from them. It's a very effective.
It's all part of the grand, like waiting for an investment.
Yes.
To gain more money.
It's a wise man, Wicked here. He knows how to play League of Legends. And earn money.
And earn money. 35,000 for Wicked and the rest of the Elements squad. 3 towers to 3 since Unicorns took out that bottom outer turret. Dragon's going to be spawning in a minute and a half. Now, Elements gave up the previous one. They didn't make a mistake of face-checking an Annie and an Ahri, but Power of Evil on Ahri made the mistake of face-checking Elements. Let's see who's going to have a better setup and vision control this time around.
Yeah, what Elements wants to do now with their comp is they want to push the 2 side lanes, which then allows them to walk into the Dragon and set up their own wards. Because once the side lanes are pushed in, you're going to have to see someone from Unicorns defend them at the tier 2 towers, and then you have full information on where at least half the team is. And that simply allows you to take the quick route in, place a few wards around the Dragon, and avoid that situation we had before, where you had to face check into like 2 or 3 pink wards and a Tippers and a Charm. So now for Elements, they're in a better situation to fight for the next Dragon, and they don't want to keep giving them up, because then suddenly Unicorns will have that potential 5th one. We see all the pink walls being bought, we saw the top lane being pushed, bot lane needs to be re-pushed now by Froggen before he moves into the Dragon.
So Fisher, you make it sound so easy. We'll see whether or not Elements can gain control. We do see Vizicachi with the teleport, shoving out the top lane as Power of Evil has pushed down the bottom. Step 1, shove out bottom lane. Froggen is doing it. The rest of Elements are setting themselves up at Unicorns. They're looking for an engage. Vizicachi is coming. In fact, he flashes over the wall. He's managed to catch Shook. Kikis runs into a wall. That's not what you want. Elements have managed to back away. And without the engage from Kikis, that might be the tool.
Teleport down, flash down from Vizicachi as well. Ulti from Kikis. That's the main engage now. Annie is going to have to be the one. She doesn't have flash either. So unless Elements are checking on towards a pink ward, it will be tough for Unicorns to start a fight, and also after, the TP advantage will be there for Elements.
So Dragon is live. Bottom wave is shoved out by Froggen, and Elements feeling like they've got the advantage, taking control of the Dragon Pit. Kikis loses 50% of his hit points.
They need to place a ward in the small bush up here so they can kill that pink. Otherwise, Unicorns always have a way of flanking where Elements won't be able to spot them unless, of course, Shook is borrowed underneath.
Flash Tibbers is available for Hylissang. Unicorns decide to give up on the Dragon, and they've set their sights on the inner turret. They are at risk of being flanked. We do see Wicked is trying to get in range. Here's a 1v5. That's a Flash Tibbers just for Wicked. Wicked has got a Wild Growth on 3. Where are the rest of Elements? He's down in the fight. Elements unable to jump in. And without that Wild Growth, I don't know if they can win a team fight. Unicorns of Love secure the tower, and Elements are looking for whatever Dreggles they can take. There's simply nothing available to them. Binding onto Chachi, but that's a pretty beefy tree. And Elements give up a kill and a tower for 1 Dragon.
Really a big mistake by Wicked. They were setting up for a potential flank. He gets in range of the Flash Tippers, dies for it when he's all alone. Elements are still trying. They feel like they can fight here. Your Zed is extremely strong. Once you get Blade on your Corgi as well to deal with these 2 tanks, you at least have some damage before they get too tanky. But Wicked again gets caught out, dies for it, and Elements is unable to fight.
Difficult position. 1-6-1. He's got that sort of discount power build that you sometimes see on top lane Lulu's. Morella Nomicon into Lucidity boost for the CDR. Got the AP from the Rod, so makes his Wild Growth and his shields and his slows all that more
He's just a fed support at the moment. That's basically it. He has more AP than normal support, but he has no damage really to add. And now Hylissang, he's looking for him again. Power of Evil is joining.
And the Charm doesn't connect. Forces the flash out of Wicked. Just in exchange for, quite simply, pressure. The rest of Unicorns of Love rather backing away. They're still down on gold. You just feel like they've sort of one-upped Elements at different stages. I mean, look at the big CS differences. Reckless and Froggen are miles ahead of their opponents. 45 CS in the middle lane, 50 CS in the bottom lane, but 0-0-0 on this Corki, and 2 tanks. It's going to be so difficult to get through a Maokai and a Scion.
And that's why all Unicorns are doing is basically trying to prevent the split push from even starting by making a play onto Elements, have them go back from their lanes, trying to deal with whatever move has just been made by the Unicorns. They still get to split out in their lanes, so they have the side lane control from Elements, and you can see Unicorns, they keep moving 5 together. There's no flash from Chachi. He used it earlier. Oh, no teleport either, which was blown around the Dragon, and he gained nothing for it. So Elements can still play around the map. You just can never leave Wicked on his own, because he will be a target and die. And that simply means it's only Froggen who can split. Blade should be completed now, though, by Reckless. So for the next few fights, at least for the next few minutes, Elements can take it 5-on-5. There's only an hourglass to deal with Zed's ulti, which means Graves is gonna be the target before there's a QSS at least.
We'll see how quickly Vardax can get his QSS. But something that I definitely want to highlight, 4 out of the 5 Unicorns members have upgraded their trinkets. 3 of them rather, running that greater stealth totem. And just Hillisang, the Oracle's lens. Over on the other side, 2 Oracle's lens upgrades and the single greater stealth. We're definitely seeing more trinkets upgraded this week than we have in previous weeks, despite the fact that some of those changes have been in play for a little while. But with Vardax going the greater stealth, it's a little different to the other AD carries. Let's carry on talking about the vision in a moment. Unicorns of Love grouped up as 5 inside Element's jungle.
Elements
From a
know
vision
this,
side.
They had wards at the entrance, so they saw Unicorns move in and haven't seen them leave again. So they know currently they're sitting in there. Don't fish it, just push elsewhere.
Hey, Wicked's backing
but
away.
also be
Whoa!
ready potentially to defend the tower here, because that's what Unicorns are doing. They're trying to say, okay, we're just gonna brute force down a tower and again stop you from split pushing, force you to recall and get in a 5-on-5.
So they're trading tower for tower. We may be in a base race situation. Wicked's been unable to defend any tower all game because of the numbers advantage Unicorns have put in place. Reckless got the mid inner turret and backs have come in. That's the engage. Wicked maybe out before this fight has really even started. Krepos flash to try and defend the tower. That's a good soul shackles, but Elements are on the defensive. Krepos running away. He gets knocked in place, but with a decimating smash, knocks him down. Now Elements, 1 man down. Wicked, no wild growth. Deathmark still available for Froggen, but it's not going to matter. Unicorns get their objectives, and they're going to get out. Elements looking for more, but the chilling smite for Kikis will slow him down before he's forced to flash over the wall. Reckless and the rest of Elements unable to defend their base. And those are stern, stern faces on the Power Rangers cam in the bottom left of your screen.
It's the same again for the Unicorns. They never allow Elements to really set up a split push. So they just walk into a lane, tip us down, 5 men start pushing it. The recalls are coming in too late. Once again, Wicked gets caught out here. To be fair, this was like flash ulti from an area as well, like onto him. He ends up, I think, surviving, but Kripos now jumped under the tower for himself. He's trying to buy time for the rest of his team. Now there's no flash. He will end up dying for it. And Inhibitor will go down as well for the Unicorns. So they just keep making plays as a group, making it impossible to use Zed to split push. And Unicorns know the later we get into this game, the harder and harder it will be for Elements to kill Kikis and Visichachi.
When Elements lost the game to Giants 2 or 3 weeks ago, they disrespected Giants' ability to make a play on the bottom half of the map. Remember, Giants stole that Baron, and it was Nif and Reckless that stuck around, got caught, and then 1 by 1 Elements fell. Dafisha, you were saying how Elements knew the Unicorns were in their base. Yes, it's difficult to predict a Tibbers to tank a tower with no minions, but Elements just responded too late. They're
going to respond too late again.
Maybe a little too greedy. Reckless in middle,
Tier 2
Froggen
tower
was
is
top.
gone. This one is going to be pushed down once again by 5. At least going to take a lot of damage before Elements can react. And QSS is completed for Vardax, so he's no longer the target for Froggen. Elements still have to fight. They're going for it, though.
They're trying to look for an engage. Shook's coming in from the back line, but he's alone. Elements are going to be late. Wild Growth will keep him up for a little while as the Deathmark may pop Kikis into his passive, but Kikis can still deal damage. That melee Scion is burning through Wicked's HP before he gets turned into a little munchkin. There's a kill on the board for Elements. They've defended their tower. That's all they can hope for. Super minions in their base. If Unicorns stick around, they can continue the siege.
Well, they won't be able to with only 4 guys, and Rek'Sai has ulti as well. Can he defend it? Knocked up the first minion and...
Oh, tower's down. Tower's down, and look, UOL, they're sticking around, Deficio.
They have to be careful, though. There's ulti for Shook. It can quickly be a 5 versus 4. Kikis won't be able to join. Look, Elements, they're looking for the fight.
Well, Krepo's going to black shield the root from Visichachi. They've locked him down. Soul Shackles will at least get a kill onto Chachi's Maokai while Shook is defending the base. Maybe a little over-eager from Unicorns.
Yeah. I think what they tried to do was force Shook to ulti, so the super minions could maybe do more work on the bottom side of the map. Just a little bit too greedy and a free kill. Honestly, and a dragon as well now. 25 seconds on Visichachi. Elements should just go straight for it. Another binding, don't they would get a kill on Kickers.
Well, we'll see. The rest of Reckless are
Well.
chasing. No
Oh,
mana
he
on
flashed it.
Reckless. He managed to flash away. Let's see what Froggen can do. Deathmark goes out. That should result in a kill.
That was great.
Gonna be able to take him out. Now Hillisang's the next target. That's another one on the board. It's Reckless that gets this kill before Reckless flashes in retreat. Kikis is doing the best he can in his passive. 3 members down from Unicorns as the Chachi will respawn with teleports. But Elements, a few kills does not equate to control just yet.
No, and the tower will go down to the top side. Chachi teleporting in has now prevented Elements from taking that dragon. Still really want to praise Froggen for that play. He flashed in front of the Zion ulti to stop it. Picked up the kill. He's on a 5-0. He's really doing well in this Zed. But Elements as a team has simply been unable to really set him up for the split push because Unicorns keep just walking around as 5 and keep making plays on the map. If it's taking the tower with no minions, they're going to get a dragon as well. 3rd one for them now. This game is far from over, but it's becoming harder and harder now for Elements to pull it off.
It's just so interesting to see the Unicorns of Love down, down 2,000 gold, despite the fact they have 4 towers more than Elements. But you just look at those CS differences. Froggen and Reckless have spent so much time in side lanes. Power Evil stole... No, he didn't steal it, actually. He did. I'm lying. I'm looking at Zed. Yeah, I'm looking at Froggen. So Power of Evil is even going to steal that with Orb Deception. But more importantly, just the gold difference. Unicorns, it doesn't matter if you're behind in gold because they're just playing the map so much more efficiently.
Yeah, exactly. When you're running 5, you're always going to fall behind to a team who are just pushing every lane at once and getting farm on all the carries at all times. That's why they keep falling behind, but it doesn't matter when you can always take towers for it instead. Kills, dragons, whatever it is. They're simply trading global gold objectives for pure farm on Element's side. Yes, a lot of towers have died as well, and there's an opening in towards the base of Unicorns if Elements can win a fight. But when there's such a tanky Maokai, and even this Sion has now had enough time, early kills as well, to become a massive tank. It's going to be tough for Zed to do a whole lot.
Well, it's very tough already. You can see the amount of wards that Unicorns have got throughout all of Element's jungle. It's just going to allow the Unicorns of Love to make the best decisions possible. And there's so much pressure on Elements, considering the difficulties they've had all split long. If they lose this game, they will be tied. Giants at 5 and 9. We'll touch on that at the end of the matchup once the results are locked in. Unicorns just envisioned that ward in the banana bush for Elements, giving them the information they needed to play with.
Right now, Elements have a slow push going on in the bottom lane, so if they stick to the mid lane and just make sure Unicorns cannot start the Baron, they will have a big mini wave building up there. They can join in later to take a tier 2 tower, but that means, well, that just requires that Unicorns are not in a position to get a Baron on the other side of the map. So now they're just keeping them in the mid lane. We're waiting for these minions in the bottom lane. You can see them slowly being pushed up. Power People even popped his ulti. Prepper should have Black Shield.
Wow, Black Shield comes up. He does manage to get past the charm. It's Hillisang and Kickers knocked up by Shook. Deathmark comes up from Froggen. He's looking for Fardags, but Fardags is going to be able to avoid getting down. We do see Wicked once again dropping. Wild Growth is still available, simply not used. Froggen is taken out in the back line. And despite the fact that Elements looked for the engage, it did not work. Power of Evil used that Spirit Rush in and was able to get out. Unicorns, 2 more kills on the board.
Really see the power of that comp when these 2 tanks get in the front. Froggen dived Vardax in that fight. He had QSS, so he just popped that one. He stayed alive. Wicked again ends up dying, doesn't add anything in the fight itself. 3 versus 5 here. Unicorns are fairly low. Oh, nice Black Shield though on Reckless.
Let's see what damage they can do.
That was a flash charm
That's
as well.
a very big rocket. Chachi throws down the Vengeful Maelstrom. Dark Binding does not find anyone. Elements have defended the Baron.
That Black Shield was
and their
so
inhibitor
important.
has respawned. Crippo's had, I think, spot on Black Shields the entire game.
Yeah, the last one
I've
as
not
well.
seen a charm connect in a long time.
Alright, so notice what Crippo's doing here as well. Power People is trying to bait the charm by like jumping in a few times, delayed, and then once you throw it, Crippo is ready now. The fight is going on. Froggen is onto Vardax here. Vardax has already used QSS, so he's safe. Meanwhile, Wicked just gets destroyed, doesn't ulti himself, doesn't ulti anyone. And while Reckless is doing his best, he's against a Maokai and a Sion as a Corki. It takes such a long time for him to take them down. Froggen will end up dying through the Guardian Angel. Fight is lost. Baron did get defended though.
Yes, that is important to note. And Elements still maintain the gold lead, despite
so
it
what?
being down.
That's really the thing. So what? Yes,
just-
you might have the gold lead, but in terms of like efficiency on your champions, they are behind.
That's exactly what I was about to get to, is the fact that despite holding on to the lead for 37 minutes, it hasn't equated to anything because Elements in a 5v5 are not able to get through anything the Unicorns have in front of them. And more importantly, I think Unicorns have danced around Elements on the map quite gracefully.
They have.
Every time Elements have pushed in a certain area, Unicorns have found a little weakness, found a little angle of approach, and they've made it work.
Well, Kikis here.
Kikis is now in trouble. He's going to get a knock-up on a few, but Elements will pick themselves up.
This could be Baron now suddenly for them.
Kill, no smite threat. Let's see if they're brave enough to commit.
Elements didn't use any ultis on this one. He had no flashes either, so they're all ready. You start this Baron. If TP comes in, then you just turn away from the Baron and you take the fight because you're 5 versus 4. No smite either. The Unicorns, they're going to give it up. Kikis caught out completely. Died a few times.
Wow.
Where Elements has managed to get him, and suddenly they get a free Baron. That was a gift from the Unicorns.
We'll see whether or not that present is going to cost the Unicorns. Some vision placed in the red side jungle of Elements. With Baron and the fact that Elements have been pushing the waves for such an extended period of time, maybe that's how they can regain control. But it's still been the Unicorns game, really. The Unicorn story. Red Elements, Baron on all 5 members. Very key items picked up, a BF sword, as well as QSS and BF sword for Reckless. Mikhail's sitting on Crepo. Death Cap, plus the makings of either a Void Staff or an Hourglass or Wicked, whatever he wants to decide to go next. What do Elements want to do to Fisher? It looks like they want to fight. Charm is black shielded away. That's a flash. Dark Fighting doesn't connect. Here comes Kikis in the background. Shook is now caught out of place. Wild Growth from Wicked needs to come in, but it's not going to be enough to hold off the Unicorns of Love. Shook is in full retreat. Stun lands onto Crepo once more. Soul Shackles is still available. He's going to catch 5 members, but that's going to go forward. What can Reckless do? He's been zoned away by Chachi and Kikis. Now Reckless is low. Crepo still alive on the backline. Elements have not died. Void Rush comes out. Deathmark has been used and Vardags is low. Can Vardags get taken down? He's in retreat. Shook has had enough time to regen and rejoin the fight, but he's now the first one. Froggen has found Vardags. He's found Power of Evil. That's a double kill for Froggen as Wicked is trying to zone away the Unicorns of Love. Crepo and Reckless are low and they've still got to get through beefy tanks. That's a flash from Chachi onto Crepo. The Vengeful Maelstrom is out. Decimating Smash does not manage to connect, and the shield from Wicked will end shortly as he's running low on mana. Kikis is going to get the slow. He's gone into his passive. Look at those big red claws hammering away on Reckless. Reckless is down, but he does get a kill. Elements lose Baron on 4. But they finally win a team fight.
What an insane fight, though. You can see Unicorns with the 2 tanks. He has such a long process for Elements to kill them. So first of all, Power of Evil had to use his ulti because Crepo flash binded towards him. So that is now gone, which is why a lot of the damage is lacking from the Unicorns. And we can see them slowly trying to go for targets. A 5-man ulti from Crepo here. He's trying to get the procs on the carries in the back. Meanwhile, Reckless, he's getting caught, but there's no ulti from Power of Evil, remember, so he doesn't die. He stays alive, and that's important for Elements to extend, prolong the fight. They keep jumping around, obviously. Hourglass, I mean, Frog has just no targets in this backline. He has to go for one of the tanks if he wants to do anything, but in the very end, after Shook rejoins, dies, Elements get 2 kills, they still cannot kill these tanks. This Scion pick, because the Unicorns played so well early on, got him to a late game point, has really paid off, honestly, in terms of fighting for the Unicorns.
Tefisio, amazing set at the beginning that Elements was asking Froggen questions and he wasn't answering. 8, 2 and 2, double kill on Zed.
Look at top lane.
Froggen is asking Elements questions and the team needs to respond. Minions in the top lane doing work for Elements. Dragon should be secured by the Unicorns of Love. It does get taken down. That's number 4. Elements are trying to delay Unicorns as much as they can. The tanks get thrown up in the air, but they can't get onto the squishies. Wicked does have Wild Growth once again. We do see Deathmark down. That's going to hurt. Gromp is helping out. Minions are slowly getting whittled away by the laser, and that was a Wild Growth was used onto Froggen. Let's see what the rest of the team can do. There's no flash from Crepo. Elements grouping themselves up on the inner turrets.
Should be able to get that one here. The top tower is very low as well, but Dragon went over to the Unicorns. That's 4 Dragons to 1 now for them. Next one will, of course, be super important. And I can't believe the Elements, once again, are going to go into a game that might last an hour and we're gonna have like 5 dragons, we're gonna have barons everywhere, and that one last team fight will end up deciding everything. It's not for now. Tower win for Elements.
It is no longer fair to say Elements play slow and boring games. They're slow and hella exciting.
That's true. That
12
is very
to
true.
14. Gold lead still in favor of Elements. Unicorns hold a 2 tower advantage and a 3 dragon advantage. But I'm gonna go back to that point. Froggen is doing the best he can to carry, and it is his team that need to find some opportunities, that need to find better targets. Look, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you get past a Sion and a Maokai, because that's a mission that I'm not willing to accept. But Elements have to do it. They have to find out how if they want to win this game.
I think what they have been doing before is smart. They're trying to force Power of Evil to use his ulti before the fight even starts. Like you try and bind him, even flash bind, maybe even Froggen jumping him with his ulti. That's just to make Power of Evil pop his own and Hourglass. So now he's out, which means Vardax is the main damage dealer left. He's on a Graves. So for him to find a target late game is extremely hard due to the short range. And that allows Elements now to kite in and out and like always hit the tanks just a little bit. But it takes such a long time, and one mistake and Unicorns will destroy you in the fight, go straight down into your base, take the last inhibitor or take one of the inhibitors, maybe even finish if they can, or get a 5th dragon. So Elements are playing this game here where they're all trying to do everything they can, but if one guy missteps, he dies, he loses the game.
Balancing on a knife edge, a Z Shadow Blade knife edge is how thin Elements are remaining in this game by 45 minutes approaching. Every single member of the game has upgraded their trinkets. Maybe the first time here in the European LCS. Just an interesting little tidbit to throw away. And we see Reckless has gone for that Farsight Orb, going to drop that little 1 hit point ward in the distance. If Unicorns want to try bait, if Unicorns want to play Baron game, could be up to Reckless to give them the vision for Elements to make the right choice.
But we can see now that both teams have double Sightstone. They have 2 or 3 totems as well, fully upgraded. It is nearly impossible to secure full vision control of an area because there's so many wards to be placed and not enough options to clear them. And that's why even though Unicorns give up the jungle now, they can still walk in, like place at least 1 ward, spot Elements, and now move out. You're simply not able this late in the game with this many options to completely set up this. Still looking for, but there's a ward spotting them. The Unicorns are just pushing down as 5, saying, come at us. If we can see you engage through the lane of all these wards we just placed, you are forced to go into our Sion and our Maokai, and that's exactly what we want.
This is the scariest game of chicken that League of Legends may have ever seen. A Sion and a Maokai stands in front of Elements. Unicorns of Love trying to find a way to use those beefy frontliners to get into the base of Elements. Unicorns grouped up towards this bottom inhibitor. Dark Binding catches and Kikis, but that does next to nothing. Kikis has got thousands and thousands of hit points and a passive to continue dealing damage. Who draws the trigger first, Officio? Elements going to try hold off as best they can.
It will have to be Elements, honestly, because Unicorns are just looking to try and get a few hits on him to, or a charm.
Well, let's see what can happen. Froggen's caught out. Deathmark goes down, but that's on Chachi. That's not the damage dealer. Froggen with Wild Growth is in full retreat. Elements not lost a member yet, but they're jumping onto Wicked. That's going to take them under the Nexus turrets. Crepa with another great Soul Shackles will peel Unicorns away for a few seconds, and Elements have not lost anybody until now. Reckless untouched. Froggen has regened. Unicorns of Love still looking for the inhibitor. They should be able to secure this one. 1, 2 more hits is all it will take. Inhibitor down. Unicorns of Love have 1 minute and 20 seconds till Dragon. They got a kill on Crepo. And Unicorns back away. Once again, retaining map control.
And once again, these fights here, it is like 1 or 2 guys dying every single time, and that's it. It is so hard to kill anyone from Unicorn's side with the low amount of damage. And for Element side, also, funny enough, with the low amount of damage, but just because of the tankiness of the Unicorns. They're trying now to trade a potential Dragon later. Never mind, there's 50 seconds. I thought it was now the Dragon was up. Instead, they're rushing straight for it. Crepo 20 seconds. Because Unicorns were recalling, Elements were 1 step ahead. Just burst it down here. You gotta trust in your jungle to smite it.
I think they've got it. It's secured. It's Wicked that picks up the killing blow.
Didn't smite it, but
Elements
anyway.
get 2 Barons now this game.
They gotta go to Dragon now, though.
Fight off
They have to
super
Dragon.
minions. Dragon spawning. They don't have vision, and look at all of the wards the Unicorns have in place.
Still, you cannot give that 5th Dragon when your base is already open. Froggen had a big wave here. He's going for Chachi.
And let's see what he can do. Death Mark is out. Chachi's going to knock him up temporarily. There's a GA.
Not a whole lot.
That's not a whole lot of damage, but Froggen has still pushed Vizichachi away. There are Baron empowered
Vardex
minions.
is going to take the dragon alone.
Alone, recalls from Unicorns. Vardek's going to left solo. Crepo's going to join this top lane fight. We're in for a race here, Deficio. It's Baron-empowered minions versus Dragon-empowered champions. Vardex will get this shortly.
They're going, oh, Wicked!
Down to see what he can
Dead.
do. Wicked is down.
Again.
No wild growth. No wild growth. Chachi is going to follow Shook. Now Shook is the next one down. The gambit from Elements has not paid off. Dragon's been secured. Crepo is out. There are 70-second death timers. Unicorns of Love have got the aspect of the dragon, and they may want to push into the base.
Chachi can TP it down to the base here. Vardex is already nearby. They will be able to finish with 5 guys alive and such long death timers for Elements.
Froggen and Reckless are backing. Unicorns of Love are barreling down the middle lane. Nexus turret is going to survive for a few seconds longer. Baron empowered minions versus super minions of the Unicorns of Love. 5 versus 2. It's going to take something magical for Elements to hold on, and I don't think they're magicians. Unicorns have found Froggen. His GA has popped. His Nexus is dead. The Unicorns of Love are 7-7. Elements. Broken faces. Another 0-2 week. They are now tied with Rockets. 5 wins, 9 losses, and out of playoff positions.
Yeah.
Unicorns, on the other hand, elation all around.
I mean,
look at those smiles.
This game was so important for the Unicorns of Love because now they have 2 wins down to Elements and Rocket as number 7 and number 8. And they got the 1-1 tie against Elements as well. So even if they do end up with the same in the standings, they will have to play a tiebreaker match before it's decided who's in playoff and who's not.
Kikis giving the camera some love. Jungle Scion. You know what? Kikis dropped the scarf as well today. I don't think he was wearing it yesterday either. We'll have to see if that's giving him some power.
Yeah, that's the thing again for Unicorns. It seemed like they said, we don't think Elements can challenge us in the early to mid game, so we can pick a comp that can be extremely strong in terms of late gaming or in terms of tanking in the late game. So that's why they went for that Scion pick, because Kikis got to late game. He got enough items to be really, really strong as a front liner, and that's really why the pick paid off for him. And he played it well. He got the early kills onto Wicked, which really, for me, was the big story here. When Unicorns had 6 kills on the board, Wicked were 1-6.
Yeah. The
He was the guy being
decision-making.
targeted out. The first mistake in the lane where he doesn't ward, and this is a guy who's played for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever. That mistake can never happen in that situation.
I hate to say this, but Elements have not had a solid performing top lane in a few weeks. Kevin had a bad game last Friday, where he was also making some poor decisions with teleports, with being in lane, with getting caught out. Wicked had a similar position. Now, it is a little unfair because Unicorns did camp him, and Unicorns did flash, and they dove him, and they chased him. But
Because he allows them to do it.
that's the caveat, is that Elements are just floundering. They are very, very seriously looking at a promotion tournament position, 7th place at best, if they don't manage to fix something.
And that's weird because when Elements lost a few weeks ago, we were saying, okay, they're just basically losing on 30 or 35 minutes. Nothing is working for them. The early game was terrible. The mid game, nope, shot calling, didn't work, nothing. Now we see small improvements in terms of like somewhat the shot calling. Some of the plays they make in the mid game are great. But then you suddenly look at individual mistakes in a game like this, and that just ruins everything, because even though you might have better shot calling or better synergy or teamwork, if you make individual mistakes like here, well, that would then set you behind anyway, and it was a ticking time bomb against Unicorn's comp, because you couldn't really go full late game and then team fight them still. So it basically meant once the Unicorns started making these plays around the map where they avoided the split push, walked as 5, got towers, that was really well played by them.
Yeah.
Then suddenly Elements were in a position where, okay, we are in a massive disadvantage now.
The thing that I have to ask of the Elements members, you take away the individual players, you take away somebody being camped and decision making. The fact that Unicorns of Love were able to sneak that bottom lane tower and then the inhibitor and then an inhibitor, it reminded me so much of how Giants beat Elements a few weeks ago when Giants snuck a Baron and then called people out. I think as a team, they need to figure out how they can identify those in game.
And that was the big problem for Elements beforehand, the quick decision making. When something unexpected happens, it's like there are 3 guys saying, we should do this, no this, no this, and then they decide on nothing, and that's where it goes wrong.
Well, we've chatted, we've broken the game down, and for just a little bit more, we can hand it over to Shox and Amazing at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Quick Shot. Joining us to talk about their win to keep Elements out of 6 is Unicorns of Love, Kikis, and Power of Evil. Congratulations, guys.
Thanks.
Very long game, almost an hour. Talking about picks and bans, the Fisho had a thing or two to say about your Scion pick. He was not a believer, but tell us how it worked in your game plan for Elements.
Well, with Elements, with Scion is that you have really high base damage. And if you don't fall off in levels, like behind in levels, you are really strong in team fights. And I just go full tank, so it's really hard to kill me. I can just stay in front of the team and like be the mid shield, and it's really hard for enemies to pass me.
So you basically knew we're playing Elements, it's gonna go late anyway, and that's why you chose it?
Not really. Like we practice it a lot, and it worked really good. So I just thought it's a really good pick in this situation.
Yeah, and great. You proved the Fisho wrong, so that's always a plus on my board. Talk us through the early game, Power of Evil. You were on Ahri, getting a little bit behind versus Zed, and also just not finding your footing. A lot of help for the top lane, but it wasn't easy for you to get into the game.
Yeah, so after falling behind against Froggen on Zed, like he solo killed me, or like with the gank on Truk, I fell behind and couldn't find myself in the game. I needed to get the early Zhonya's and Morellos, and I got a good comeback in the team fights because our tanks were just literally beast against Zed. He can't really come to us, and they're just seeing him over and over again. And that's how we got, at least I got my comeback.
Yeah, it all seems like it was quite straightforward from you guys, but it was a super long, super tight game, and Amazing was actually commending Elements on their deep vision. Something to do with the trinkets maybe, but Elements really kept himself in the game.
Yeah, what Elements was able to do, like in stages of the game, is to have the 2-man roam coming in off of both Morgana and Rek'Sai walking to the enemy jungle, getting deep wards, and they actually were able to rotate a lot, but and basically get free turrets, especially when they made the turret for Drake trade and they had complete topside vision. They got another turret off of that, at least some pressure. But in the end, what Elements is doing wrong is basically like what UOL is good at. UOL is doing impulsive calls and basically like the in-app trade, in-app rush bottom, for example, when they did that and got 2 turrets out of that. That's something Elements does not really do. They don't respond well to that either. They are good in an environment where everything is controlled, everything goes to a certain plan, and they can like kind of see the outcome of every action that is happening. And as soon as that doesn't occur, Elements seems to be faltering, and they seem to not adapt pretty well at all. And especially this game, when that happened, I felt like there was a lot of greed coming in, maybe for a lot of push-outs, something like that, where they just wanted a bit more farm instead of grouping, instead of like doing 4-1s, instead of getting the deep vision again after it vanished. And you all capitalized on that pretty well.
Yeah, you guys thrive on chaos, Kikis. How come that even in a game where you're a little bit behind, you guys always get an inhibitor somehow? It's like magic.
Well, we never say to ourselves, okay, we are like behind and we can do anything. We always look for opportunities for misplays of opponent, maybe force them into misplays or situations where they are not comfortable and they need to choose really fast what to do. And if they fail, that's really good for us.
Yeah, one of those situations where that occurs and you have to make fast decisions is one of the late game team fights. We're actually going to run through a replay of one of those because your comps made that it was super hard to kill each other in the end, Power.
Okay, so we are engaging with Kikis, the mid shield. We are going for Shuk. We are calling that we should just go for him and fight backwards, kinda. So me and Varix are in the backline. Froggen can't really join the fight, but we are not dealing enough damage, so it's a really slow fight. I think Trapper's now going for the ultimate and trying to like run into the carries, exhaust me to get the ultimate off. Froggen is still searching for the engage on me and Vardex.
He's gonna get it.
Yeah, I'm zoning his ultimate, so we are all calling for Froggen. Shug is rejoining the fight, so we're going for him. Seeing him down, taunt, everything what we have. And now Froggen gets a double kill, I think, on me and Vardex. That was pretty good by him.
Yep.
But because we have like still both full tanks who have, I think, both Soundman at this point, we are still calling that we can go or like fight them in a 3-3.
Yeah.
And we did that pretty good with the Sign passive, using the Sign passive to get on Reckless and CCing him down.
Yep, that's basically the
So,
story
yeah.
of it. The Scion passive also in the end, making sure that you guys could stall and fight a little longer.
Yep.
You guys did pull it out here. As I said, you thrive on chaos, but it hasn't been the best last couple of weeks for you guys. It seems like you're faltering just before the playoffs. For the guys that are coming on stage now. Power People, how have you reflected on your own play? Because you were very hyped coming in. You delivered a couple of times, but it's hard to find your footing in the early game the last couple of games.
I would just say that most of the teams improved lately in the last weeks, and we kind of need to find ourselves now in the next weeks. Look to how to improve, and I need to, and I think we need to like just play better and, as a team.
Yep. Well, straightforward. You did win versus Elements here. Fantastic victory. Yeah. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks as well.
All right, in just a few minutes, Meet Your Makers will try to hold off Fnatic to keep their fight to stay in the LCS alive. Stick around. We'll be back in 3.5.
If we do it like yesterday, except we don't throw early, we win. We'll be Wonder-Dogs.
Let's have some fun, guys.
I'm gonna have fun by winning.
That's the engage. Wicked maybe out before this fight has really even started. Krepo's flash to try and defend the tower. That's a good Soul Shackles, but Elements are on the defensive.
Okay, didn't work out. We should have.
Go for it. I go for it. I burst it. Okay, he's in GA, he's in GA. I healed your shot, G, I healed you. Okay. Set. He's dead.
We can go.
Two of them are dead.
Shook has had enough time to regen and rejoin the fight, but he's now the first one. Froggen has found Vardags. He's found Power of Evil. That's a double kill for Froggen.
They're going, oh, Wicked!
Now to see what he can do. Wicked is
Again.
down. No wild growth. Chachi is going to follow Shook. Now Shook is the next one down. The Unicorns of Love are 7-7.